The following program is being brought to you in part by
Community Health Net Health Centers. Rooted in the communities of Northwest Indiana, Community Health Net Health Centers offer family practice, pediatrics, behavioral health, OBGYN, eye care, and dental. Community Health Net Health Centers provides compassionate health care for all.
Good evening. Welcome back to the LRP Tower, beautiful downtown Hammond, as we get ready for the round two of our Schedule 2 rounders with the doctors, as we normally do on a Wednesday. And we are ready to bring on Dr. Glenn Harrison. We missed you last week, Doc. Glad you're feeling better.
Thank you very much. Sick as a dog. Oh boy, you got to watch what you eat. Most definitely.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, with self-limiting. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we've got, it's a higher calling. The SamuraiDoc, Dr. Glenn Harrison. Take it away, Doc.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, today we actually have a special guest, Mr. Hassan Brown from 3B Farms. He is a prolific grower with farms and processes across the country, particularly noted in the South. And today we're going to have a discussion just based from farm to patient, what we're growing out here, what we're seeing, and trying to get a better understanding of the industry itself and how it will roll out, because it's going to be different than the pharmaceutical companies, that's for sure. It always has been, and it always will be. Hassan, what's happening, Papa?
Oh, not much, man. Sitting here enjoying life and hanging out in beautiful Alabama right now.
Alabama. What you doing down there?
Well, right now we're sitting on about 250 acres.
Gotcha.
We are growing full spectrum CBD hemp flower.
Gotcha.
And just banging it out, and we'll be close to harvesting in about another 6 weeks. So looking for a very productive harvest this year. Everything is looking beautiful.
Gotcha. Now you've done grows in other states. Could you give us a little bit more background in that regard?
Yeah, correct. So we're licensed in 10 states right now, and we're also licensed in Jamaica. What we have is a license in Humboldt County, California. We're also in Pershing County, Nevada. Obviously, we have an indoor grow in Cook County, Illinois. We are in Clay County, Indiana. We're also in Colorado Springs area. And then we're licensed in Louisiana, Mississippi, Texas as well, and then Alabama, Georgia, and we just got pre-approved for South Carolina.
Wow. You're in all the southern states.
Yeah, well, basically we find it to be easier to grow in the South. Reason being is because of the weather.
Gotcha.
In Northern California, Northern Nevada, you know, and even Illinois for that matter, Indiana, we can typically, well, outside of Indiana, correct, I'm sorry, I mean Illinois, we typically can only get one harvest a year.
Yeah.
And, you know, only getting one harvest a year doesn't really work that great for us. But down here in the South, we can get 2, 3, possibly 4 harvests a year.
Yeah.
For an example, Alabama last year only had 3 freezing days of all last year.
All right.
So we literally can just grow all year round. And then in Jamaica, we grow year round in Jamaica, the tropical climates there.
The reason why I said you're in the southern states was because most of those states that you were talking about are not medical cannabis states at all. Texas is not.
So most of the states allow hemp.
Yes.
But most of them allow for industrial hemp or biomass. However, we grow for flower. We grow smokable flower.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been, and the states are changing over. Next year, Alabama goes medical.
Gotcha.
Georgia has already gone medical,
Mm-hmm.
and Tennessee is somewhat, you know, floating on the boat, but
Yeah.
they're basically medical. Mississippi votes this November for medical.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, and Louisiana is already medical. However, what we do is, because we have investors and shareholders we answer to, just to make sure that we're hedging their investment, we grow both CBD and we grow THC flowers on all our farms where possible and where we're licensed to do so.
Gotcha. You know, those are going to be the growth states, decidedly.
Correct.
You know, once that southern tier pops in, you already said it. You've got such ample growing conditions. I mean, I expect your flower to be prolific.
So far, we've had no complaints.
No complaints. Gotcha.
No complaints on both flowers, for that matter, for the CBD and the THC.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been fortunate enough to take our time and, you know, trial and error and experiment, because the climates are different here. The soil is definitely different.
Without a doubt.
You know, like compared to like northern Tennessee or even Indiana, and then like northern Alabama compared to southern Alabama, where we have another farm.
Yeah.
So here we have that red clay dirt in northern Alabama, where we are in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
But down in the south near Phoenix City, Alabama, closer to the border, it's sand.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to, you know, augment all our soils and just, you know, it's a trial and error and experiments with it. But so far we're doing great, and we've got it down, and, you know, things are working. So we're looking great.
Yeah.
The main thing is our investors are happy. So that's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
You know, but that difference in topography and growing climates kind of reminds me of Jamaica. I mean, you know yourself as well. In Jamaica, they grow in mangrove, they grow in Orange Hill, they grow all over the doggone place. And what do you think what effect do you think that has actually on your flower, on your bud?
No effect at all.
Gotcha.
Generally, sativas grow great in tropical climates and warmer climates.
Sure.
So you'll get most of your medical or medicinal flowers from the warmer climates. Indica grows better in your colder climates,
Right.
cooler climates. But in Jamaica, because of the climates there, we can basically grow year round. And, you know, where we're located near Brownstown, you know, fortunately, we were able to get a piece of property, 300 acres,
Mm-hmm.
and it's right, like there's a ridge line behind our property, and just beyond that ridge line is where Bob Marley was born and buried originally.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
we're like in the heart of, you know, Bob Marley country.
Yeah.
And you know, it's been wonderful, and the entire, you know, town that we're in is like supportive, and everybody's been backing us. So it's been great to be able to, you know, create jobs,
Yeah.
more or less, for the locals and keep money within the community. So it's been a beautiful thing to see for us. But the climate is perfect for all year round. And we got fortunate because the license in Jamaica, it also gives us the right to open up a dispensary.
Gotcha.
So that's our next move. And in Jamaica, they don't really call them dispensaries like we do in America. They call them herb houses.
Gotcha.
So like over in the Netherlands, if you go to an herb house, you can buy the product,
Yeah.
buy your paraphernalia, and then you can go down the room in the hallway in the next room, and you can just try it out.
Right.
And it's the
Right.
same thing in Jamaica. So that makes it a beautiful thing.
You know, that's interesting, because when I look at my patient population, many of them are naive to cannabis, and they're wondering as far as the effects. And very definitely, I would love to have a situation where I could pre-treat them, or at least give them a little taste in an observed setting before I set them up as far as whatever preparation or strain, or give them any type of medical direction. But we can't do that because, you know, the herb is verboten. I mean, as far as my medical degree or my medical license, I can't even touch it. I can talk about it, but I can't touch it.
Yeah, and that's part of every state is different. Every
Yes.
state has their own regulations. In California, like even in Jamaica, for that instance, you have doctors that can prescribe it to you in Jamaica. California, you got to get the permit, so a doctor more or less prescribes it for you as well. Unfortunately, Illinois is not like that at this time, but there's different, you know, there's different benefits throughout the cannabis industry, or throughout the entire cannabinoid tree, so to speak. You know, there's hundreds of compounds, and each compound affects the body differently, but they all affect the body great.
Yeah.
And, you know, and what we do at 3B Farms is we focus on doing even with our CBD flower especially, we focus on doing full spectrum. So a lot of people want, you know, for instance, CBG or CBN, and everybody wants these different compounds. And, you know, when you isolate them, they're pretty great. It's great to have. However, their lasting effect is kind of short.
Yeah.
So it's not to equate it to, like, you know, cocaine and crack, but if you smoke crack, you'll get the high in 2 seconds.
Right.
But the high is gone in 3 seconds.
Right.
And if you snort it, the high is there for like 5 minutes or so.
Right.
So with full spectrum CBD, and when it's the same thing, when you isolate it, you kind of get the same effect where, yeah, you can isolate the CBG and the CBN, and you'll get the effect, and it'll be great, but it doesn't last as long as if you get the full spectrum, because now your body gets everything it needs to heal itself. And that's the best part about, you know, doing full spectrum. And
Now,
go ahead, I'm sorry.
Are you doing processing also?
No, we are not doing processing. What we decided to do with 3B Farms is we just specialize in growing the flower.
Gotcha.
We just want to do the best organic plants that we can create and give people the best quality there is that we can produce. And then we sell to distributors and processors, and then they make whatever they want to make out of it. We don't brand anything. We don't have, hey, this is from 3B Farms, da 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 da. We don't do that. Our focus is we're going to grow the cleanest flower we can grow. Everything we do is organic. And when we give it to the processors and distributors, when they buy it from us, they know that they're getting good stuff, and then they can brand it however they want to brand it. So, you know, yeah, we could probably make more money if we got into that game of branding and marketing something. But, you know, for me, I just, you know, I don't want to play that game. I just want to be known that, hey, 3B Farms grows some good stuff. And, you know, you can call it, we can make a strand called Dr. Glenn, and it'll be whatever you want it to be. And Dr. Glenn, I have his own strand, and the whole world will be, hey, you got that Dr. Glenn?
Got that Dr. Glenn?
Yeah, you got to get that Dr. Glenn. It's pretty good. So
can't you imagine seeing your grandmother coming up and asking you for some Dr. Glenn? I mean, come on, really? Because, whatever. Yeah.
Well, trust me, we have a new strain coming out that they say in certain parts of the South, and the word is called Amifritz. So we have a strain called Amifritz.
What the heck is
putting together right now. So Amifritz is the short way to put it is like, if you know you're around your elders and your elders say, "Don't work my nerves," or if you ever been whooped with a switch, that's you worked somebody's nerves, and they don't. So that's their Amifritz, and so we've got a strain that we're working on. We're calling it Amifritz, so it's going to be pretty cool.
Just the
Hassan, I gotta jump in here real quick because I've got a comment and I've got a question.
Sure.
You mentioned about Jamaica, and I've got a couple friends of mine that work at 9 Mile, and we don't get down there as often as we'd like to. But the last time that I was there, Benny was able to take me up, and I was able to learn a little bit more about their harvest and the way that it's grown in Jamaica. And Dr. Harrison and I had spoken about that a number of times, so it's great to hear you talking about that area. I'm well familiar with it. It was just a wealth of information that I got that day when I was there. Now you've got a number of different farms in a number of different states. How long did it get for you to get to this point?
To be honest, it's to be really honest, I've been in the cannabis industry for years, clearly, but legally, it's been like the last 10 years. Initially, it was very difficult getting into it, only because of stigma that it has coming to cannabis, and especially minorities or people of color dealing with it. So it was always a little difficult in the beginning. But once, out in California, when we got our formulas right and we produced good product, then we kind of got known more for the product. And then once that happened and we took off, then it was easier for me to branch out and grow. But it's always been difficulty dealing with the stigma of cannabis and Black people. And then the financial aspect of it and trying to find the money to do that, because the opportunities aren't there for us to get those finances. So it took some time for me to get to this point where I'm at. And I'm still looking for investors, to be honest with you, because we're expanding. But it just took some time to get to this point to where I don't have to deal with the stigma. Like now we're licensed in 10 states, plus Jamaica. Like other states know now that, okay, it's 3B Farms and they know what they're doing. And I'm getting approved for licenses within like 3 weeks, depending on states, whether it's cannabis or even CBD hemp flower. I'm getting approved for it because I guess over the years we've developed that, that reputation of being able to get stuff done.
Well,
and it doesn't help when you got buyers like Coca-Cola that want to, like contract out with you and buy your hemp. So.
The proactiveness that you have with this, and when you talk about the other states that are going to have a referendum on the ballot come November, it sounds like you're being extremely proactive with everything that you're doing, and I compliment you on that. That's great. Nice job.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, the main thing for us is when you're growing hemp flower, it's just like growing regular THC flower. So it's the same process. So it's just, different steps you have to take to make sure that the plants don't run hot and produce THC over the legal limit that the federal government allows. So, but being in a position with all the states that we're licensed in, to even just grow hemp on top of the states that allow us to grow THC, once those states convert over to THC, it'll be an easy transition for us. And the states already know and familiar with us because they've, come to our farms, did their inspections, and they know we know what we're doing. So it'll be a lot easier for us to get the licenses when it's time to jump towards THC, depending on the state.
Well, you know that they're working on legislation in the Congress. Whether or not they get there this year or not, which I doubt it, at least it's on track again. This is the second time this year that those bills have been brought forward. At some point in time, the dam is going to break. And for you to be in those particular markets, which have a significant burden as far as disease is concerned, I mean, I think you're perfectly placed. If I were doing what you were doing, I'd follow the same battle plan. My real interest is, however, increase acreage, because obviously this market, this industry can be expanded decidedly and into other areas, but getting that acreage and including minorities, including Black folks, that's a trick. That's where everybody's, at least in Chicago, as far as the folks I deal with, that's what they're interested in, because everybody wants to get in on this, but it takes land and it takes know-how. What do you see for the market coming up in the short term in that regard?
Well, in regards to minorities, I think there's plenty of opportunities. I personally feel that a lot of minorities that want to get into the cannabis industry on the business side of it, they, like most people, we all are comfortable doing with what we know. And as far as cannabis is concerned, everybody's known it from a Black market perspective. So that's distribution. So a lot of minorities are trying to get in on the dispensary side, and most states, just like California, the dispensary side is the most expensive side to get on, and you pay the highest taxes. So that's kind of the fight. And then again, it goes back to when I first started getting into the business. A lot of people would just look at me, or anybody, any minority for that matter, and think that we don't know how to grow. So we have to fight that stigma in order to show people that we can grow. And then once you show people you can grow, then you can kind of make some headways and get some movement going on. And getting land and all like it's easy to get land if you've got access to the money. And depending on where you live, the land can be cheap.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I started out, I went to family and friends. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm still going to family and friends right now.
Mm-hmm.
So the money that I've been raising and selling shares of my corporation has been coming from family and friends, but it's helped me expand.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we're sitting on over 1,600 acres of land, you know, throughout the 10 states.
Gotcha.
And, you know, and now it looks like we're about to pick up another 3,000 acres next week. So we're good for expansion, but then it's like, do we have the money to operate and build out that property
Mm-hmm.
and then go from there? Because I'm going to get the license clearly because I'm already licensed, and it's easy for me for whatever reason. The last 5-6 years and us spreading out in different states and in Jamaica for that matter, it's whatever reason, it's been real easy for me to get the license. I don't know why. I don't question it,
Mm-hmm.
but I can get the license and I have them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's okay, now let me, you know, work out some deals, get some more land, and then expand and develop the property so we can grow on it. And we have buyers, you know, and our buyers mostly, you kind of really contract out, but you don't contract out until after you've, you know, had your harvest.
Yeah.
So what happens is you have your harvest, you get your product tested, and if your testing, you know, results meet their requirements, then they contract you out for everything you have.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always that game and the waiting game and being patient, but there's always buyers around. So when it comes to me dealing with my investors and the expansion and everything else that we're doing as far as getting more land and being able to grow more than, you know, we did last year, I've always have enough buyers so I can sell the product at the end of the day.
Okay.
So that seemed to work out for me.
Well, let me ask you, as a provider, as a physician, asking a grower, I mean, what recommendation would you give me as far as strains, as far as medicinal strains are concerned? What do you see that's moving fast? What are you getting good news on?
Well, the biggest misconception, and I think it comes from California, and then I call it like your entertainers, they're all stuck on the exotic types of cannabis flavors that you can find. And I want medical this, I want medical that. And what you really don't know, unless you do the research, is that really medical cannabis is CBD.
Yes.
CBD is the medical benefits from cannabis. So go full spectrum and just get full spectrum CBD and get that to your patients. Whether some of your patients, like my mother uses the paste, you know, it's like an ointment because she has arthritis in her knees and her hip.
Really?
So she was taking all these pills and all this stuff the doctors were giving her. And then one day I came home to visit her and she was like, oh, no. I was like, well, hang on, Mom, I'll be right back. And I went down to picked up some CBD salves and some lotions and came back. Here, rub this on your knees, Mom. So she rubbed it on her knees. She put a heating pad on it. And then the next day she's running around like she's a teenager for like 3 or 4 days before her. So she stopped taking the prescription drugs and she just uses CBD.
Gotcha.
And now I've got aunties and uncles and now
blowing
everybody using CBD. Huh?
They're blowing up your phone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But now it's like, so there's a store in Atlanta. So it's like, I sent my mother over to the store. They carry some of the products. Like what we have is the industrial hemp that we grow that's used to process for oils and stuff. We've contracted out to this company called Made by Hemp. So if you go to our website, 3bcbd.com, you'll see the store where you'll see a lot of their products. So their products are in a bunch of stores everywhere. So my family's just been buying the products and they've just been using it, the elderly. So they've been kind of open to like, hey man, let me try it. You know, it's CBD, it's not illegal. We'll try it and see what happens. So it works great for my mother with arthritis. If she was here, she testified to you right now. Like, and then she gets the gel shots in her knees, because they want her to have the knee replacement.
Right.
But she's like, well, if I just rub this CBD on me, I'm great
go.
for like 3-4 days. I just,
Let me just throw this at you real quick because we're almost done. But that plaster application, that's from the 1800s, dude. That's one of those old applications that have gone by the wayside. That's extremely efficacious. We're bringing back old medicine and putting it in a new phase. I'm with you, Papa. Let's rock and roll.
That's basically it, man. For like, I had fortunate enough before he passed away, I was able to meet Dr. CB. and SEBI, Dr. Sebi.
Yeah.
And he just, he said for every autoimmune disease, there is a natural herbal cure for it.
Yeah.
There's a natural cure for it.
Yes.
So,
here we are.
knowing that cannabis is part of the cure for a lot of ailments, I just jumped into it. Kids with epilepsies,
Yeah.
Kids that have seizures, autism, kids that throw tantrums, which is, one of the other reasons why I jumped in with both feet.
Okay.
I know I'm old as dirt, but, I have a daughter that just turned 7 years old, and, she tested positive on the spectrum.
Gotcha.
And, she used to, the tantrums weren't heavy, but, she do that hide in the corner thing and all of that stuff. So, she loves her gummies, and, she's communicating now, and, using the potty. And
Excellent.
so I personally have seen the benefits from it.
Yeah.
And I just, I'm all in 10 toes deep, 10 fingers deep. Nobody can tell me anything different about it because I've seen it work personally.
There it is.
And, to watch my mother not be able to walk, to put some CBD salve on her knees and throw a heating pad on there, to see her get up and run around like she was a 12-year-old for like 3 days. You can't tell me anything about cannabis and how it affects people medically. But definitely the medical benefit is really the CBD, not so much the THC.
Mm-hmm.
The THC will help relieve some pain, but the medical benefit is CBD.
Gotcha.
And that's where the medical cannabis comes from. The THC levels in it are like maybe 3-4%, no higher than 6%. But your CBD levels are over 15%, 12 to 17, 18%. And that's where you get the real medical benefits from cannabis. And it doesn't give you the psychoactives like, THC does.
Gentlemen,
Hassan.
I gotta jump in here real quick because we are out of time, but I do want to throw this out. Hassan, if you are able to come back for a second time, we would love to have you on again because I still have a number of questions I want to get to, and I'm sure Glenn does too. So this was fantastic. I appreciate you taking the time, and we look forward to having you on again.
Hey, feel free, hit me up anytime. I'm always available. And next time you'll probably be at the farm when we do this again. I've got to head down to Louisiana to the farm there, 3B Farms, Louisiana. It's going to be beautiful down there. So you guys going to, get together and see that layout. It'll be awesome.
All right.
We'll come
Thank
along
you, guys.
down. We come along down. We appreciate it. Dr. Glenn Harrison, he is the SamuraiDoc, and this is a higher calling on the LRP network. Gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time. And Hassan, we'll see you soon. Dr. Harrison, we'll see you next week.
Sounds good.
All right. Have a good one, guys. Thank you.
All right, guys.
Have a
Thanks
good
a
one.
lot.
The SamuraiDoc was brought to you in part by
Health Net Health Centers, rooted in the communities of Northwest Indiana. Community Health Net Health Centers offer family practice, pediatrics, behavioral health, OBGYN, eye care, and dental. Community Health Net Health Centers provides compassionate health care for all.